Hi guys, it's Jason from Liberty Militia. Venezuela inflation rate passes 1,000,000% and it's costing lives every day. This is what devastating hyperinflation looks like. So the socialist policy in Venezuela has finally got to the point that inflation is now a hyperinflation level, rising at 1,000,000% a year. Obviously, this is just a further burden to the people of Venezuela who have really been suffering for the last few years. It's something that anybody with a basic understanding of economics could have predicted. That when you start nationalising, when you start implementing hard socialist policies, it's only going to have negative effects. A story here from Al Jazeera. Venezuela's crisis in numbers, faced with food and medical shortages, hyperinflation, and economic insecurity. More than 1 million Venezuelans have fled the country since the economic crisis began in 2015. According to the International Organization for Migration, 1.6 million of the 2.3 million Venezuelans who are currently living outside the country have fled since 2015. So those with the means that can are trying to get out. Let's look at some of the numbers here. This is World Health Organization data. 11 kilograms, the average weight lost by Venezuelans, survey in 2017. 406,000 cases of malaria in 2017, this was up 69%. 61% of Venezuelans surveyed said they went to bed hungry in the 3-month period in 2017. 85% of drugs were either impossible or difficult to find in 2017. So living standards dropping like a stone in Venezuela. But if you open up a history book of the 20th century, you know that when countries implement socialist policies such as these, heavy-handed nationalisation, heavy-handed left-wing policies, this is only to be predicted. Another angle of this is the government clamping down, government violence against protesters. This is something we've seen in the Soviet Union, we've seen this in China, we've seen this in North Korea. Again, this is only to be expected. I don't know why anybody on the left is even surprised by this. Venezuela crisis, UN says security forces killed hundreds. Venezuelan security forces have carried out hundreds of arbitrary killings under the guise of fighting crime, the UN's human rights body says. Again, no surprise there. So what is causing this huge crisis in Venezuela? Besides the socialist policy themselves, Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world. It should be an incredibly rich country, but they've shot themselves in the foot by basically semi-nationalising, it's basically nationalising oil production. They do have foreign companies working with them, but they put them under such burdensome regulations, and the corruption that's caused by a tyrannical government is such at a level now that crude oil production has dropped massively. There's a graph here, and we'll read a little bit here. To make matters worse, oil production in the country has taken a tumble due in part to lack of basic equipment. Getting oil out of the ground is a pretty difficult thing to do. You want quite a dynamic economy where, you can basically get at least the basic equipment to them. The foreign national companies can basically import what they need to if you give them, enough rain, enough capitalism, enough open borders for them to do that. But if you start nationalising, if you start stifling the economy, it's only to be expected that the oil production is going to tumble, which is basically very few tax receipts coming in for the Venezuelan government, which is causing all these huge problems. The solution to this is obviously to open up to become more free market, but that's not something that they're, of course, wanting to do. It's only going to get worse. Oil majors are abandoning Venezuela. The crisis in Venezuela could enter a new phase with the private companies operating in the country starting to panic. In mid-April, Venezuelan authorities arrested 2 Chevron employees over refusing to sign contracts with PDVSA, who's basically the nationalised oil company. PDVSA, this is the company that all foreign oil companies need to deal through to basically get anything done in Venezuela. It's obviously hugely corrupt. The workers said that PDVSA were offering equipment at inflated prices, so they held off signing the contracts. Insider told Reuters that the practice of jacking up the prices on equipment has been used in the past to siphon off money for personal gain. Sources within the private sector firms operating in Venezuela told Reuters they have no good options. Operating environment is becoming increasingly hostile, making it difficult to continue to work in the country. However, if they packed up and went home, they would get almost nothing for their assets that they currently hold. Who would be interested in buying them under these circumstances? So I don't know why anybody's surprised by this. There's still people in the UK that are still, I don't know why Venezuela's failing. It's this continual socialist policies, continual refusal to adopt capitalistic measures. If they had just even small amounts of capitalism in Venezuela, it'd be a hugely wealthy country. You know, largest oil reserves in the world. That's no small thing. They could be one of the richest states in the world. But it's sad they've gone down this road of socialism, socialist policy, nationalisation, which are all things that the hard left, what Jeremy Corbyn wants in the UK. You know, Jeremy Corbyn has said many, many positive things about Venezuela, how it's, you know, one of the modern shining examples of socialism in the world. You know, people are eating animals out the zoo there. People are unhealthy, can't get medicine, can't get food. It's shocking. World really needs to wake up to this. At least Venezuela, as sad it is for the citizens of Venezuela, at least it's another warning for a road not to go down for any other countries thinking about experimenting with a socialist model. So it's Jason from Liberty Militia signing off, and I'll see you in the next video.
And in inspiration to all of us fighting back against austerity and neoliberal economics in Europe, showed us there is a different and a better way of doing things. It's called socialism, it's called social justice, and it's something that Venezuela has made a big step towards. Huge steps still to be made, no doubt about that.